Welcome back to Exploring with Em and Stu.
And today we've brought you to Snowdonia, where we're going to be taking a look at the Sygun copper mine. Right, so there's been mining going on in this area since the Roman times, and the museum that's down there has got all sorts of artefacts which will take you for a little look. But this particular mine here at Sygun actually began its mining in the 18th century, mainly due to all the Industrial Revolution that was, of course, going on, and I guess they needed all the copper for that.
Yeah.
So as you can see, obviously this place is a big museum now. I believe having been redundant in like 1903 because basically the vein of copper ran out, and so they sort of stopped mining it. In the 1980s, they came along and they basically dug out this mine that we're going to take you into. Hundreds of tons of rubble and that were all pulled out of it. And I think around about sort of 1986, this museum was open.
So yeah, we're gonna have a quick look. But as you can see, the museum, the first part of the museum is just there.
Yeah, I should imagine this is one of the workshops. It's now been turned into a museum.
Exactly.
I believe.
But we are going to be heading down there. So I think now it's time to literally keep the Ardats on.
We will do. But there is one more feature before we get down there.
Put them on anyway. Look, they're more authentic.
So before we actually take you into the mine, I want to take you for a little look at these old, what I believe are probably authentic miner's carts. Of course, most mines, copper mines, all sorts of mines like that, had a narrow gauge railway that would have brought out the products as well as waste and all sorts of bits and bobs. And here we've actually got some of those old carts, and I'm actually walking along the track which goes all the way through the mine. So you'll see that when we get into there. I think we should actually get into there now. So here we are inside the mine, really, really damp. I didn't expect it to be practically raining more indoors than it is outdoors. But like I've already said, I mean, these sort of tunnels were dug by hand, I mean, in the 18th century. And it's amazing to think, I suppose, what those conditions must have been like. Obviously, they've sort of fixed the roof and made it safe and put all this lighting in for us. But none of this obviously would have been here back then. In fact, it would have been candlelit predominantly. So you can only really imagine what it must have been like. We're following along the track that I've explained already about. But I believe this goes for quite some distance before it opens up into some little caverns. So I'm going to keep going and we'll show you when we sort of find some features to look at. So after probably a good 100 metres, we've finally come to sort of the end of that long entrance tunnel. We've got a bit of a cross section here. Let's point out one of these lovely old carts right at the top here, which is actually quite impressive. But we're going to take one of these other passageways and see a little bit more of the mine. So as we make our way to some of those bits we're going to look at, I just wanted to point out this quite incredible sort of ceiling we've got. I mean, you can see these sort of wooden pylons almost, which was once upon a time holding it up. Of course, these reinforcements have been put in modern times for our safety, obviously, but because they didn't care too much in Victorian times about safety. But wow, that's actually really incredible. And again, it must have been so dangerous back in the day. I mean, these are really rotten now. But so yeah, it was basically all just lined with wood props. So rather them than me. But I can see something quite interesting over here. So we're going to have a little look. So just over here, well, let's have a look at this first. Another original something or another. Obviously, this was something that was used for the winch I'm about to show you. But if we just look over here, quite impressively, is one of the original, or certainly part of this is original, hand winch. Now, what you may not realise, that in fact below us is another 45 metres of workings. And of course that level is all completely and utterly flooded now, but they would have used winch systems just like this to obviously lower one of these sort of metal barrels that I've just shown you down there into the workings, and would have brought more of that copper up. So again, to know how flooded that is down there, that must have been really wet and damp at the time, so that's quite incredible. So just through here we've actually got another cavern, and these caverns, none of these are actually natural caverns, and if you just come and have a little look, you can see inside that they're actually covered in all these stalagmites and stalactites. Now normally you associate these things with sort of natural, millions of year formations, things like that. But no, these stalagmites in this particular cavern have only actually been created since sort of 1903, when this mine was abandoned and closed down. So it's quite impressive to see that. Right, so still wandering through this labyrinth of tunnels. I think it's about time we actually had a proper explore of it, and I think we need Stu to join us for that bit.
And here we are.
There we go.
Looking dopey with me hat on.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant little mine. Emma's taking you around some amazing parts of this mine with all the, they're called?
Stalagmites, stalactites.
That's the one.
Yeah, just a bit of basic history. I don't know an
That's
awful
it.
lot.
And if you come down here, we've got a remnant of a part of the old track with looks like a tool carrier.
Yeah, another vein they were obviously following once upon a time.
Yeah, once,
look at this.
yeah.
This is actually on original tracks. I mean, that's quite cool, isn't it?
That is actually
to
really
see one
cool.
of the old carts. I mean, I don't know if this is just the bottom of a wagon. Obviously, the top is rotted away, but I mean, this has clearly been sat here for like 120 years. But yeah, that's quite cool,
It is pretty
isn't
cool,
it?
isn't it? I think some cinematics are involved in this, so I think we'll do that.
Now, we were just talking about the conditions of the workmen just earlier down there, and they've actually got some mannequins just up there, which you're about to see, and which basically show that they were just digging with their picks. I mean, there was no machinery down here. It was literally just picks, axes and chisels and things like that. And all by candlelight, so you can just imagine how really quite dangerous that would have been.
So now we're going to be leaving this part of the mine where the two fellas were on the top.
Yeah,
That was,
there's actually, this leads to some stairs in front of us, which
So-
we don't really know where it leads
No.
to, so let's...
we are going to turn the camera around, and there they are, just there. So let's
take
have
it
a
for an
quick-
explore.
I think we will.
Now,
But-
we keep banging our heads down here, so
Yeah.
if you do come down here, keep your hard hats on, it's really
Yeah,
important.
don't take them off. It's not a great idea. But it does actually end up being quite a substantial.
Oh, wow.
It's actually quite cool. Look at these old steps. These are actually really carved steps. These were obviously
Again,
originally here.
chiseled out back in the
Chiseled
day.
out steps. Obviously, these are not original. These steps here, but we're going to climb
Goes
them
up
anyway.
Quite far.
It does. So we'll have a walk up and see how we get on.
Right, so there's quite a few steps here, so if you've got mobility issues, maybe go out the way you came in and not out that way. But we've got a bit of a tunnel here that leads off to something else, so I don't know what it is, let's go and have a look.
Oh, all those stairs. All those stairs was
I
quite
know.
a lot. How many stairs was there?
I think they say altogether there's like, I didn't read it, I think it was about 160. I tried not to
160.
read it because I didn't want to know.
Yeah, I didn't want to know.
We've not even done them all yet.
But we are in this new area, so let's just turn round. Finney's there. Look.
We've reached a little bit of a cavernous area.
And what we can read about this area, it's like a sandwich area. It's a
Yeah.
canteen.
Basically, just behind us, through the back of where these stairs are, I'm not sure how well you can see, but there was apparently quite a dry area. Of course, well, you can't get up there now, it's not accessible. But that area was actually used for the workmen to go and have their lunch, basically, and a
Yeah.
little bit of a rest. They found some artefacts in there back from the Victorian times.
Clay pipes.
Yeah,
we
clay
would love
pipes
that.
and bottles and all sorts
But
of
in the
things.
museum, we found there's poison bottles and everything.
Yeah,
Really immaculate
imagine they
poison
were all
bottles and
found
that.
down here. But we were
But-
just reading actually a bit about the unfortunate conditions that were down here, because these poor guys, the actual miners, got paid, I think it was about, what, £24 a year?
£24 a year, and their
equivalent.
average lifespan was 40 years old.
So you can only imagine the conditions that they're working in. I imagine
Yeah.
there's sadly would have been a few quite fatal accidents
That's
down
it,
here.
exactly.
But again, it was commonplace back then, wasn't it?
It was.
I mean,
But we have got a chap down here that did survive.
yeah. And he's still down
He's
here.
frozen.
He's still here, look.
And when they were having their lunch 100 years ago, this guy up here, he survived as well.
In fact, he's still eating his lunch.
He's still eating his lunch.
Anyway, it's nice that they put all these little mannequins in, because it gives you a little bit more of an idea as to what it used to be like.
But what we're going to be doing now, we're going to be heading up these stairs, if you care to shine the light there. Oh. And that's where we're going to be heading up next. No. So join us at the top of the stairs when we're both out of breath. So walking up these steps, just come to this another model basically of a woman and a child. But what I was just reading was, it's actually quite sad really, because in Victorian times it was common for women and children to be sorting through the rock. Oh, yeah. And boys of as young as 7 was bringing it up from the mines to give it to them. So it just goes to show that health and safety back then, as what it is now, is still the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not the same. It's not the same. Everyone's going, but it's not. Nothing like it.
Isn't it a good thing, actually, that we don't...
health and safety is involved nowadays.
We miss a lot from the past, but there's certainly a lot of things that we don't miss.
Absolutely. But anyway, this is Vera and Glenda.
Is it?
Yeah, there you go. Get a good look down there. And obviously the part of the mine which is just at the back of them.
Yeah. Again, that goes down so far, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And you've got to just think that a lot of this was never unblocked back in the 80s, so there's so much more underneath all of this rubble and all this spoil. One day they might...
If you could see down there, it's actually just got water in it. It's actually flooded, a flooded tunnel.
Oh, yeah.
Very deep though.
Gosh,
very deep.
See that?
Just see that, I reckon. Wow. But we've still got some more steps. Finney's ahead of us, so he's leading the way.
He's fitter than us.
That's it. So we're going to head up here now and see what else we can find.
Trying to figure out what that is.
So me and Emma's just a bit startled. I mean, this is just literally hanging out the ceiling, just, minding its merry way.
We're not in England anymore.
No, we're not. But that's impressive down there. Look at that.
Again, another tunnel that would have gone quite far. I mean, I can see in the distance, that goes on a good old distance.
Yeah, and the tracks go right round. That's actually quite cool.
That is.
Obviously, the speaker's new.
I don't think that's original.
But yeah, that is pretty cool, to be honest with you. But we are heading more down here. But if you look on the track bed there, you can still see some of it.
Some of the original track.
Actually runs through the compacted stone.
I think we might actually nearly be at the top now.
Yeah. So let's start heading down, shall we? See, coming down this bit, I'm just taking Finley out to the top there while Emma's getting her pictures. But what you can clearly see in here is all these markings. See these lines? All the dynamite drills. So they chisel into the rock, place dynamite into it, and literally blow a hole through that. So that's actually really quite cool. As you can see here, if you're walking down, you can see a lot more. Literally run all the way down the tunnel. So we're going to wait for Emma to come back now and see what she has to say when we get outside the mine. So we've come out of the top part of the mine now. That was absolutely incredible being in there. It's it has, isn't it? I mean, for the sake of a tenner, it's well worth it.
Definitely good value for money.
£7.50 for kids and £10 for adults. It's really not bad. It's good value for money. It is a bit on the steep side walking down, because you're basically walking down.
We didn't realise we're
off of a mountain.
We're trying to sort of leapfrog our way over.
Yeah, literally.
But if you want somewhere to cool down in the summer, that is the place to go.
Oh, it's lovely.
I think it's like a constant 9 degrees, and you don't realise when you're down there how cool it is until you come out and you're like, oh my goodness.
That was actually quite amazing.
But anyway,
what we're going to do is we're going to get to the bottom, which we're not going to show you, just meet you at the bottom, because obviously we've got a lot of concentration. Plus we've got Finley with us, trying to get him down as well, and he's happy. He's just singing away.
He's loving it.
So. We'll see you at the bottom and we'll say a proper goodbye to you. So, bottom of the mine, exactly where basically we started this video.
just a bit of a round trip. Basically, you go in at the bottom, you go all the way up, and you come out the top, but then you have to walk down again. So.
But we hope you've really enjoyed this video as much as we've enjoyed actually making this video. This video's been absolutely really cool. I mean, actually, I'll show you. Actually, before we switch off, that down there is the in, and that up there is the out. So you have to sort of walk down the mountain, as so to speak. But
it's been really nice doing something quite different for a change, hasn't it? Because we don't really get to do mines where we come from. Obviously, in East Anglia, we don't really have very many mines.
No, we don't.
We certainly don't have copper.
No, definitely not. But we would like to say thank you for coming along with our first video of Wales. This is our first video.
That is, yeah. This is our first day. We've got plenty more coming.
We have.
Over the next week. So we're weather dependent. We haven't been too lucky with the weather today, but fingers crossed we'll have plenty more to come.
But if you are interested in seeing extra content, we do have a Patreon for £3 a month, literally a flat rate, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. And we're doing plenty of videos just for Patreon whilst we're here as well.
That's it.
If not, if you just subscribe,
it's free.
That would be amazing.
And it helps our channel build and build and build. Yeah. So obviously we don't force that on anyone. That is your choice, but we're just happy for you to come along.
Thank you.
So as from Exploring with Emma Stew, we hope to see you again on another Wales trip adventure.
Yep. So here at Sygun Copper Mine in Snowdonia. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.